Hello and welcome back to another episode of Heal with Divinity. I'm your host, Keerthana Venkatesh, and today's episode is deeply relevant, not just for students, but for parents, educators, leaders, and anyone who cares about the future of India. We are living in a time where young people are more informed than ever before, yet also they're more anxious, confused, restless, and probably even emotionally overwhelmed. Everyone's talking about Gen Z, and now there are also Gen Alpha. So the problem is way more magnified than we even want to perceive it to be. So they have access to multiple choices, opportunities, and even information that previous generations could probably only dream of. But despite all this abundance, they're still feeling very lost inside. But remember that this is not failure of intelligence. This is nothing but like a crisis of inner direction. And that is why today's conversation that I'm having with our guest is not about marks, it's not about careers, it's not about competition alone. This is about mindset, more importantly, dharma, effort, and clarity of action. And all of this is coming from one very important text, which is the Bhagavad Gita. My guest today is someone who works at the intersection of human potential, mindset transformation, and nation building, Mr. Ramkumar Seshu. Welcome, sir.
Namaste, namaste, Keerthana. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. To give all of you all a brief introduction about Mr. Ramkumar Seshu, he is the founder of Born to Win, and he is the force behind the Sahyogi movement, which is a growing ecosystem of transformation partners who work with students, educators, MSMEs, and even organizations across India. All these Sahyogis, to give you a brief, who are associated with Born to Win, come in with the belief that every human has potential, and they create psychologically safe spaces for an individual's growth, and they use lived experience to help everyone rise beyond what they believe they actually have. So it's basically everybody is helped to break the glass ceiling. And as Mr. Ramkumar Seshu often says, India needs like thousands of sahyogis, not one, two, or even 100. That's because the mindset of adjust, survive, compromise is all what helped India build yesterday. But India today and India tomorrow cannot work on these belief systems anymore. So today we're going to explore how the Bhagavad Gita, which was spoken on the battlefield by Krishna to a confused warrior who was Arjuna, even today offers profound answers to inner battles that probably even our students are facing. So, sir, let's begin, because this is a conversation that I've been waiting for quite some time. Um, my very first question to you today, since students are kind of getting ready for their boards in another couple of weeks, they are more informed than ever, but they seem more confused, they seem more anxious, they seem more restless. So, from the Bhagavad Gita's perspective, what is the root of this inner conflict that so many young people are experiencing today?
Wonderful. So, first of all, Keerthana, thank you very much for having me here. I've been a long-term admirer of you, your work, the kind of stuff that you're doing, the books that you've written. I mean, the book that you've written is a personal favorite of mine. And so today, when we are especially focusing on this specific issue, allow me to step back just a little. If you look at the song Divine, the Bhagavad Gita, and the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, let's take a look for a minute. For a moment, let's pause and figure out what was that conversation all about, and who are these two people who are having this conversation. Arjuna, you will agree, was one of the finest warriors of his time. Okay, he had everything. He had the right education. I mean, his guru was Dronacharya. He had the Gandiva. He had every single thing going for him. And mind you, it is the same Arjuna who had beaten in a war just a few months earlier. He'd beaten all of these people: Bhishma, Karna, Drona, everybody. So it wasn't that Arjuna was not competent. or he didn't know what he had in him. And yet, Arjuna, like all of us, had a simple flaw which Krishna very interestingly knew about. And what he knew is that Arjuna possibly at a critical point of time may become weak and may not be able to execute the plan that has been laid down. And that's why the beginning, when Arjuna with a lot of belligerence says, place my chariot, Krishna, between the armies, I want to see who's opposing me. It's a command. And Krishna very intelligently places that chariot in front of Bhishma and Drona. And
Right.
suddenly the whole thing changes. Just imagine if Krishna had placed this in front of Duryodhana or Dusasana or Karna. The war would have started at that point of time itself. So, isn't this what we're also facing right now? If you see our young students, they work very hard. They've studied very hard. They've done everything right. They've put in the
Right.
hard yards. They've gone through whatever coaching, some tuition, some online course, and they've studied very hard. And yet, when it comes down to facing that crucial examination, whether it is a 10 standard, 12 standard, graduation final year, post-graduation, any examination that they're going to face through, they're beset with worries. They're beset, that at that point of time, they get completely confused about what is possibly going to happen.
Correct.
Exactly the same way that it happened to Arjuna.
Right.
And therefore, the entire Bhagavad Gita, in one way, is between Bhagavan Sri Krishna and his favorite disciple Arjuna, his friend, his Sakha, as he calls him. But at the same time, this is a dialogue that is happening on a daily basis today with each one of us. We've worked hard, we've studied hard, we've done everything that we need to do. And yet, at that crucial point of time, sometimes our confidence deserts us. And we're not able to give the best that we are capable of at that crucial point of time. And this is really, really what the Bhagavad Gita is all about. And this is what the Bhagavad Gita teaches us. So there's one very interesting, shloka that comes to my mind. The whole point is that if you can become indifferent to either what has been told to you, what you've heard, or what is yet to be heard, which is in your mind, okay, then at that time, you start getting immensely focused on what you need to be doing. Okay? So here's the thought for all of you. You would have heard a lot. This is how difficult it is. This is what it is. You would have got hazard inputs from a whole host of people. This is what the question paper is going to look like. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen, etc., etc. And there are a lot of things that you're imagining that will happen.
Mm.
If you can withdraw from both, from what you have heard or what you may hear, okay? And I've seen this happen with myself. I've seen this happen with my daughter. I've seen this happen with my nephew recently, where, going to the exam and there is so much of, there's so much of that nervous energy out there. Can you distance yourself from all of that? Because that is what we call the mire of delusion. You've got to get over that. You've got to keep remembering what you've done, the hard work that you put in. Do you know everything? Certainly not. But can you focus on what you know at this point of time and get into that frame of mind by which you are going to be doing what you know best? You're going to be answering those questions to the best of your knowledge. And
Right.
don't worry, about what you're hearing or what your mind is saying you're about to hear.
Correct. True, true. So again, I'm going to touch base on what we've spoken so far. Um, we do understand, and I think we had this conversation offline as well, prior to this episode, that students have a lot of freedom with regard to the career choices, the identities, the lifestyles that they want to choose, the paths that they want to follow, but that freedom often creates like a paralysis of clarity, right? So given this, now while you are talking about whether they can step back, how does the Gita specifically help us understand that this decision making, especially when the mind is overwhelmed with options, how does it help in this decision making? Um, and how does that stepping back actually happen?
Wonderful. So there's this lovely shloka in chapter 2, which is, if I'm not wrong, shloka number 41, Keerthana.
Mhm.
And that says that, look, uh, if you were to get that single pointed determination, if you were to get that focus that is required, okay, then you will do well in life. But if you don't have that single pointed, that determination, that focus on what you want, then what will happen is that you have many, 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 many branches, and there are endless options for you to choose from. So sometimes, Kirtana, what happens to us is that it becomes difficult to choose something in life. And I think it's a good thing. Whenever people come and say that, my son is confused, my daughter is confused, so many things that they want to do in life. I said, terrific. Why not? What's wrong with that? That's good. If your kid is saying, I want to play the guitar, and at the same time, I want to learn skating, and I want to learn cricket, and I want to become a speaker, it's fantastic. There's nothing wrong with that. It's absolutely great. Okay.
Right.
That's fine. Okay. That you have a person who's exploring various options in life. But, the determination that you need is not on what you want to do, Kirtana. And this is what the Bhagavad Gita keeps teaching us again and again.
Correct.
But on how to do that. You may not know what you're good at. You may not know what you want to do in life, which is perfectly all right. There may be some apparent confusion saying, should I take up guitar? Should I take up coding? Should I take up this? Should I take up that? That is not the point. I think as parents, as educators, as teachers, as seniors, we need to start getting them to focus on what? On how are they going to do that? And that is what this Rakta Bindu that he talks about, that single pointed determination that Krishna talks about.
Right.
That is the critical thing, Kirtana.
Right.
Teach
Right.
our kids that. Don't worry about what they do in life. Focus on how they do it.
Correct. Right. I think it's almost like, even Arjuna, when he shot the fish, the eye of the fish, looking at its reflection, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, there's one very interesting, topic that often comes up. And recently I was involved in a very major project where we were studying Gen Z at workplaces. One thing that came out with a lot of, the senior leaders talking about is that Gen Z feel that they're very entitled. So if Gen Z are feeling entitled, I'm sure even Gen Alphas and the current Gen Betas, and then of course the Gammas who are going to come, all of them are going to feel the same. So given that people or parents or adults today, feel that many students also feel entitled to outcomes like success or recognition or even comfort for that matter, but they are resisting the effort that is needed to achieve something or the discipline, or they're also resisting the uncertainty that comes along the way. How do you think the Gita can help them understand what is Adhikara, which is, of course, the right to action, And how does this apply to students today, especially to help them learn and grow, and to understand that the right to action does not always mean that they get the right results, or maybe the results that they expect.
Sure. First of all, I have a little bit of a challenge with this whole word called entitlement. I mean, even in our work in Born to Win, we keep hearing this again and again and again about how people feel entitled. Their entitlement is very, very high. Accountability is not very high, and so on and so forth. My only counter to that is that entitlement is not something which is new. Entitlement is as old as the hills.
Right.
Anybody who's done some amount of work feels entitled. They feel that they need to be rewarded, and therefore I think it is something that we should just accept, that this is not Gen Z, this is not Gen Alpha, but this has been there from a long time. To give you a point, Keerthana, I, in the initial years of my life, changed my job every year, I think for 4 or 5 or 6 years. Why? Because I thought I was not getting what I should be getting. I was not getting the recognition. I was not getting the kind of boss that I wanted. I was not getting the knowledge that I wanted. I was not getting the pay that I wanted. Okay. So I was also, I mean, those days we didn't have this word called entitlement. But when I look back at my own career, my own life, I think I also was entitled to much, much more till I found my groove in a particular company, and I kind of hung around there for 5 years, and then the next company for 12 years, and things like that. So this is as old as the hills, if you ask me, quite honestly. It's just this that we're making it into a big issue right now because we've got a nice, convenient word that we use for this entire thought. But to come back to your point, for a youngster, whether you're a student, whether you're a young professional, whether you're a young adult, or whatever it be in life, my mind is instantaneously taken to a very, very famous shloka from the Bhagavad Gita, which has unfortunately been quoted, I think, wrongly. If you remember chapter 2, shloka number 47, in which Krishna says, Karmanya Adhikara ma phaleshu kadachana. Now, unfortunately, this has been interpreted that, you shouldn't have a goal and stuff like that. That is complete rubbish. You must have a goal. I mean, the whole of the discourse of the Bhagavad Gita was to ensure that Arjuna will pick up his arms and go and fight the war and do the right thing as far as dharma is concerned. So obviously there was a goal that was there embedded in the entire learnings of the Bhagavad Gita.
Right.
Having said that, if you're doing something right now, I mean, right now, Keerthana, you and I are involved in this podcast, right?
Correct.
Now, this podcast that we both are doing, we've got to look at it from 3 aspects. First, there is an activity that you and I are doing right now. What is the activity? You're asking me some questions. I'm kind of trying to remember, some of my knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, and I'm trying to contextualize it and share it with you. So this is one thing that we're doing right now. From this, there is going to be an outcome of this. What is the outcome? You will possibly review all of this and say, okay, this is good to go, this is not good to go. Something will happen at this point of time from this. I mean, not everything that I say, maybe going to your listeners, to your viewers, something will, something won't, etc., etc. There'll be an outcome. And then there is a third thing called the impact. Okay. That when this podcast is eventually broadcast or telecast or viewcast, then people are going to see it and there is going to be some impact that it will happen from this entire thing. Some people may say, oh, wow, this is interesting. Some people may say, this is, well, we've heard this before. There's nothing great in that. So there's an activity, there's an outcome, there's an impact.
Correct.
What this shloka teaches us is, at this point of time, Keerthana and Ram have to both focus on the activity.
Right.
The fact is that there will be an outcome. The fact is that there will be an impact. Can I now tell you, by only being concerned about the impact and therefore deciding to tell you what I want to tell you from the impact perspective? Wrong. So if you're working on a PPT right now, If you're working on a code right now, if you're working on studying right now, if you're working on, doing some lab project right now, if you're writing a project report right now, focus all your attention only and only and only on that particular activity. Don't worry about anything else. It's like a cricketer, right? Yesterday, I was fortunate. I watched that match in which Jemima Rodriguez scored a brilliant 68 or 69 in the match against Sri Lanka in Visakhapatnam. And the way she was playing ball to ball to ball to ball, what is it? She was just focused on that activity. Yes, there is an outcome that will happen when she's playing that ball. It may go for a four, it may go for a single, it may go for a catch. Something may happen. And what's the impact? India may win the match, India may not win the match. But she was only focused on that ball at that point of time, and she was playing the ball according to its merits. But that is what the shloka says. Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana means, look, you focus on the activity. As a student, if you're writing your code, just write the best code that you're capable of. If you're studying right now, give it your best effort. Focus everything on understanding the chapter. If you're doing a PPT, then just go ahead and get into that PPT. Just give your best as far as the PPT is concerned. Don't worry about the outcome or the impact. There will be an outcome. There will be an impact. If we can get this going, then this sense of entitlement is fantastic, because what are you entitled to? Your entitlement is as far as this action is concerned. Now let's get this activity the best kind of thing that we want to do. You're planning a party. Great. Let's write the best invitation out. Let's put the best decorations out there. Let's get the best music out there. Let's get the best food out there.
Right.
Okay. That is the action that we need to focus on, Keerthana. And that's what we need to teach people.
True.
Okay? Don't worry about outcome. Don't worry about impact. It will happen. You will have a great gathering. That's the outcome. And people will talk about saying, what a great party this was. That's the impact.
True.
But don't worry about that and tailor make your action right now. You give your best.
Right. But somewhere along the way, in my interaction with parents, children, over the years of my healing practice as well as my counseling, I've kind of come to see that while children have so many options, there is also an enormous pressure on them to fit into like a predefined mold. That you have to get this many marks, you have to have this kind of a career, you should finish your studies within this timeline. Even extracurricular expectations are too high. Oh, you have to be good in everything that you do, in sports and music and dance. And this seems to have created a world that no longer exists for them. So, given this, what does the Gita say about following one's own path versus living out expectations imposed by, either the parents or the family or society?
There are two beautiful shlokas in the Gita. One is chapter 3, I think 34, 35, somewhere there. And there's another one that comes in chapter 18, much later, in which both there is one beautiful point, Shreyan Swadharma, saying, look, you follow your own path in life. Even if it is imperfect, don't worry about it. Don't follow paradharma. Okay? Even if it is well performed. Paradharma may be well intentioned. There is nothing wrong. So I keep telling, seniors, bosses, I keep telling parents, grandparents, let your child discover what their swadharma is and let them start practicing it. Even if it is imperfect, it's perfectly all right. Give them that chance. Don't put them into a mold like you. I mean, I love the word that you used. Into a predefined mold. Don't try and force fit your kid into some predefined mold. That's disastrous. So I keep telling parents or bosses, I keep telling seniors, saying that, look, you've got a very gifted human being as a raw resource right now. Sit with that person, get them to understand what is their swadharma. And when you get that swadharma going, get them to practice it day in and day out. Let them make an abhyasa of that. Even if it is imperfect, it doesn't matter, because over a period of time, they will get to that perfection that you want. But for God's sake, don't push them into paradharma. That is disastrous. Okay? Keerthana, we've heard of so many instances where there is, a child has been pushed into engineering and in third year or fourth year has quit. What a waste of resources. What a waste of energy. What a waste of time. That in third year or fourth year, the kid is quitting, doing something. What a criminal waste of, energy, of resources. Uh, if only the parents would have listened to the child, or would figure out. So how do you know what is your swadharma? I think you need to start talking to a whole host of people. As parents, if you think that your child is kind of confused, if you and you will have a good idea of that.
Correct.
I think you must immediately go and meet someone who will be able to assess what are the strengths that this child has. In what way can this student be directed to do something that she or he likes?
Correct.
That's the important thing.
Right. So again, I'm going back to the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna's whole crisis begins with a very deep question as to, who am I, what is my duty, and why am I doing all of this? So, how would you draw Arjuna's dilemma as similar to what students are facing today when they ask themselves, why am I studying this? Or why am I even running this race? I'm sure this is a question that's going on in a lot of children's minds.
Absolutely. And it is so sad.
Yes.
I completely empathize with these young students, okay, as to why you're doing what you're doing. I'd just like to give you a personal example. We moved to Bangalore when my daughter was in fifth standard or sixth standard. And so when we came here and, she joined a school and she was doing CBSE, uh, we, we kind of guided her. We never told her what to do or what not to do. But very early in her life, my daughter said, she wants to be a writer.
Mhm.
And therefore, we took her to a particular assessment. And that assessment said that, based on her personality, her aptitude, her interests, one of the professions that she should take up is writing. The other was law and a couple of other options. And this happened when she was in ninth standard. So when she finished her 10th and we went to one of the best colleges in Bangalore, Christ College. At that time, the counselors at Christ were very upset, saying, why does she want to do arts? She must do science. Look at her marks in maths. Look at her marks in science. Look at her marks in physics. She can become a great engineer. And my daughter was very, very resolute, saying that if I'm going to get into this college, I want to do arts. And that too, I want to do only these subjects. I want to do English literature. I want to do economics. I want to do some, politics, etc., etc. But the point is that unless and until we trust our children, and we must, this is not something that you pick up when your child is in the 9th or the 10th, Keerthana.
Right.
You must pick that up very early, saying, what are you interested in, son? What are you interested in, darling? What are you interested in doing, my daughter?
Right.
And talk to people who can guide her, guide him. Okay? Otherwise, what will happen is this, that, you will get to a point where Arjuna's anxiety strikes you. If you remember in the initial first chapter, he keeps saying that, my mouth is dried up. I'm not going to kill people. Why should I kill people? You see, because he has reached a stage when that anxiety attacks are tremendous. That's why he lays his bow down and says, I'm not going to fight.
Right.
Do you want that for your child? You don't, right?
Correct. Correct.
So if you don't want your child to reach a stage where the child is saying, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do that, and becomes belligerent, and says that, look, I'm weak. You know, I see no good in this whole thing. I'm not going to do this. Why do you want to get to that situation in life at all? So the Gita teaches us this beautifully, saying that, look, for God's sake, talk to people, encourage children to have conversations, and you'd be surprised as to what they come back to you with.
Correct.
Remember one very important thing that the Gita teaches us, Keerthana. It's not what you do which is important. It is how you do it which is important.
Yes.
Throughout the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that, look, this whole thing is over. When he shows him the Virat Roop,
Mhm.
and Arjuna says that, look, what's going on there? I mean, I can see all the. He says, yeah, that is all done. You don't worry about what to do, you worry about how to do it. And the whole of the Bhagavad Gita is on how to do things. So
Right.
don't worry about what your child is doing. It may clash with you. You may be a business person saying that, I want my child to come into my business, but the child doesn't want to come into the business. Maybe he wants to become a scientist. Great.
Right.
Don't impose your thoughts, your logic, your dreams on your child, and then get your child to a situation where the child is crying out saying, my mouth is drying up. I don't want to do this. I don't want to fight. What a pity, no?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So,
Just let them do what they want to do. Let them, allow them, counsel them, take them to a good person who can talk to them. Bring them to people like you, Keerthana, who can talk to people, who can understand, who can say, hey, you know what? I think this kid is going to be a great singer. Fantastic. Will he become the next, Sonu Nigam? May not be. But at least the child is going to be expressing herself or himself the way they want to do it. Your daughter is a dancer. Fantastic, no? Is she going to be a world-class dancer? I hope so. What if she doesn't? What if she doesn't? It's okay. She's enjoying herself. She's expressing herself.
absolutely.
That's the great thing, no, Kirtana?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right? And that's what we should be doing.
True. Very true. And I think, not to discredit the parents, but I think the reason why they're probably even pushing their kids to this is because they have grown up in a world where everything has been purely measured through outcome, like grades, colleges, placements, salaries. And that is because of the way the economy was then at that point in time when they were growing up. But things are different now. So I'm going to draw on your experience and ask you, like, from the Gita, how does the Gita redefine success in a way that reduces anxiety and restores self worth? Because I think this is something very important for parents to understand more than their children.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So let me tell you something interesting. In the next 5 years, give or take a year here, a year there, don't worry about the 5 year kind of thing. But I believe by 2030, India is going to become a $10 trillion economy. Now, this is something which is mind blowing. You know what? When I was growing up, way back in the 70s, we were taught that India is a poor country. Then it became India as an underdeveloped country. Then it became India as a developing country. Okay. India is a fast growing economy. And now we are saying India is going to become $10 trillion. At $10 trillion, India will be the third largest economy in the world. You know what this means, Kirtana, for you and for me and for all the parents who are going to watch this? It means literally that some of us are going to see an explosion in our disposable incomes.
Correct.
I suspect that the people who are going to be seeing this podcast of yours, this is my, I'm also a crystal ball gazer. I think our disposable incomes will go up anywhere between 5x to 10x in the next 5 years. That's the kind of explosion that's going to happen in India.
Right.
So how does this matter to us? Correct?
Hmm.
the opportunities that are there in this country in the next 5 years are amazing. The sheer opportunities that will be available will double, triple, manifold. I'll just give you a case in point. If you look at the kind of unicorns today in India, and if you look at the kind of work that these unicorns are doing, they are so beautiful, so interesting. I was recently in a high school pitch competition in Ooty. Okay, where there were kids who had come all over from Coimbatore and Tirupur and Ooty and Metupalam and whatever, and they were all pitching. And guess what my challenge to them was? My challenge to them was saying, how can you come up with an app on mental wellness, mental well-being?
Interesting.
Mind-boggling ideas, Keerthana. Mind-boggling. I'm hoping some of them will, see light.
Wow.
Beautiful ideas. Can you imagine? I'm talking of Metupalam, I'm talking of Kotagiri, I'm talking of Ooty, I'm talking of, places like that, Tirupur. Small places, not the Bangalores and the Bombays and the Delhis of the world.
Right.
You know what I was telling those kids? I said, your definition of success has to change. Your definition of success should be from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, shloka number 5, if I'm not wrong, in which Krishna says, lift yourself up by yourself. Do not let yourself down. For you alone are your own friend, and you alone are your own enemy. Can we redefine success from marks and grades and, all these conventional things that helped us yesterday, Keerthana?
Correct.
It's not going to help us tomorrow. It's not going to help us today. Can we start redefining success saying, can you be a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday?
Right.
Can you start competing with yourself? If you've written 3 lines of code yesterday, can you write 3.5 lines today, 4 lines today? How can you become better at what you do? Because you alone are your friend, and Krishna tells us, you alone are your enemy. Why are you worried about the world? Don't compete with the world. So the paradigm that our parents are using, or our educators are using, our teachers are using, is completely wrong. It's obsolete. And we're thrusting these down the throats of these children. Instead of saying, so-and-so did that, and so-and-so did this, and so-and-so did that, and so-and-so did this. Can we change the conversation at home over the dinner table? How do you feel? Have you done something today that you're proud of? Have you done something that you're very grateful about today?
Right.
Are you happier today than you were yesterday? These are, amazing lessons from the Bhagavad Gita.
Absolutely. And what you spoke about gratefulness, that gratitude is so
Absolutely.
important.
Yeah.
So important. In fact, gratitude journaling is one of the simplest exercises I give many of my clients. I'm like, it can be something very simple, but even if you've had the worst day that you believe is like your worst day, but if you're grateful for even one small thing, it means that your day has been successful.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, again, so coming to this, this very interesting topic of a growing disconnect between generations. So now, if Gen Zs and Gen Alphas are feeling that, I think even as Gen Xs and Gen Ys, we have also felt that disconnect with our previous generations. I think that's what creates that generation, right? And students seem to be struggling with ideas of respect, humility, and communication, especially with their parents and grandparents. So, from the Gita's perspective, how can the concept of respect be understood that respect is not about submission, but it is about awareness and maturity?
So, first and foremost, there's a familiar old Indian adage that respect has to be earned, okay, not demanded. So I think we need to start with the baby boomers, my generation. We need to start with Gen X, people like you. That look, this whole question of respect means what? Okay. This whole question of respect does not mean, coming every day in the morning and, bowing down to you, and that's not respect. Okay. That is a way respect is shown. That is not the only way respect is practiced. According to me, and this is again chapter 13, if I'm not wrong, there's some beautiful shlokas from 7 or 8 around that, in which there are some beautiful qualities that indicate respect. Okay? What are these qualities? Let us understand them. Krishna starts by saying humility. Na atimanita. Now, this is respect. Okay? Can we ourselves be humble? And therefore, can we become examples for our kids about humility? Okay? Right. So how do we practice humility on a day-to-day basis? Can we all share stories of what happened to me in my office today? Like, for instance, this evening when I'm going to be talking to my family, I'm going to be saying, I'm so grateful to Keerthana for doing this podcast with me. I mean, her questions were so challenging that I had to really, really dig deep within, and keep saying Krishna Arpanamastu. Because every time you ask a question, I close my eyes and say, Krishna, what's the answer to this? Okay. It's not me, but it's him. I mean, he's showing us this. So can we practice humility on a day-to-day basis? That's respect. Then he talks of another beautiful quality called unpretentiousness. What is unpretentiousness? Can we stop comparing ourselves with our neighbors? As grandparents, as parents, and therefore teach these children how to be unpretentious. What does unpretentiousness mean? Don't cut the traffic signal. Stand in line. Simple stuff. Give it right. Forgiveness. Okay, yes, people will not do what you want them to do. And there's a whole host of straightforwardness. Arjavam. Beautiful straightforwardness. Just before some guests are coming home, I mean, my favorite example on this is, if there is a guest who's coming home, and just before the guest comes home, you rip apart that guest completely. Right. And then when the guest comes home, you're behaving all sugary and sweet. Right. Why would you want to do that? All of these are qualities of respect, purity, self-control, steadfastness. There is some beautiful stuff there. If we practice them, then our kids will practice that with us. Correct. So it starts with me. It starts with you, Keerthana. And then that is something that will then rub off onto youngsters. Okay? Right. And for youngsters, the whole point is this: by being humble, by being unpretentiousness, by practicing unpretentiousness, by being straightforward, by being service oriented, you're not submissive by any means. No. You are becoming stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger as an individual. That is respect for yourself. So you start respecting yourself, and that respect will then start rubbing off onto the rest of the world. Right. That's so true. So again, today what I find is, students are very emotionally sensitive, and they're also emotionally intelligent, to be truthful about this. I don't see the kind of bullying that, probably we have witnessed, not experienced properly, but witnessed, is not there. They're very empathetic, but they also seem very highly reactive, like, anger, shutdown, withdrawal, anxiety, all of this seems to come very easily to them. So, is there something in the Gita that can guide them to regulate their emotions without
suppression or aggression?
Absolutely. So there's this whole concept called Sthita Prajna in the Gita.
Okay.
Sthita Prajna is someone who is equal. See, in life, there is nothing that you or I can do, especially when you're young, about how somebody is going to behave with me. There's nothing I can do, right? So somebody is a bully, somebody is vicious, somebody is calling me names, somebody is being unfair to me, somebody is whatever, right? Or the other way around. Somebody is very kind, somebody is very loving, somebody is very supportive, somebody is very good. Okay. So you can have both. Somebody who's a bully, somebody who's kind, somebody who's, criticizing me, somebody who's supporting me. So you will meet all kinds of people in life.
Correct.
The one thing that you can't do is to control them.
Right.
So you will also have a situation, and especially that is what is happening today when you talk about emotional, what's the word that you use? Emotional regulation. Okay. Emotional sensitive. Okay. So what happens is that controlling your emotions is difficult. I'll tell you what is worse. The same person, nowadays, we are seeing people who behave in one way to a particular situation and in a completely different way in another situation, which is leading to a lot of confusion. So the same guy who's very kind at one point of time can be extremely vicious at another point of time. The same person.
Correct.
Why do they do that? Well, that's their challenge. So you will always keep finding these contradictions in life. Okay? You will find these ups, you'll find the downs. You'll find the downs, you'll find the ups. The ups are not permanent, the downs are not permanent. So you've got to become somebody like a Sthita Prajna, saying that, look, I am going to figure out a way of not reacting to the up or the down. If somebody is excessively kind, excessively supportive, I'm not going to get carried away. If somebody is extremely vicious, if somebody is just pulling me down for no rhyme or reason, I'm not going to get carried away. I am going to make sure that I'm completely in harmony with whom? With myself. A Sthita Prajna is someone who knows herself or himself and understands that, look, just because somebody is kind or not kind, somebody is vicious or not vicious, it's got nothing to do with me.
Correct.
And we need to teach children this, that they will be people like this. There's another beautiful downward spiral that the Gita talks about. Okay. And Krishna talks about, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. He only talks about Kama, Krodha, Lobha in the Bhagavad Gita. He doesn't talk of Moha, Mada, Matsarya. But what does it mean? It means that, when you have too many expectations from yourself, there is a certain amount of desire that comes. Kama. From that desire, when it does not get fulfilled, it turns into anger. And from that krodha, it turns into delusion. And when you get deluded that this person is doing it like this, or this teacher is like this, or this father is like this, or this mother is like this, or this teacher is like this, or this brother, etc., 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 when you get into that delusion, guess what happens? You lose complete control of yourself.
Right.
And when you lose control of yourself, you get into a stage of that downward spiral. So we need to teach people. We need to have conversations with them saying that, look, there is nothing you can do about the way somebody is going to behave with you. You have no control on that. They'll be good today. The same day at 11 o'clock, by 12 o'clock, they'll be bad. Fair enough. You talk about yourself. You be emotionally strong yourself. Just because somebody has said I'm good or they've said I'm bad does not make me good or bad. The other point that the Gita teaches us, very important on this, I'm going to spend another 30 seconds. The other very important point on the Gita is this. It is normal for us as human beings to get angry.
Correct.
We're human beings. We're not a machine. We're not robots. We will get angry. We will get elated. We'll get happy. That's why we are human beings. We're sensitive. We have feelings. However, if you can see this as a circle, and if this is anger and this is happiness, and it's like it's like some kind of a pendulum that's moving from one end to the other end. The point is that the zero state is what we should teach children. Don't
Right.
get carried away with this side. Don't get carried away with that side. It's like a birthday party, Keerthana. Today is my birthday. I'm going to school. I'm wearing, the school has allowed me to wear some beautiful clothes. And, today I'm the center of attraction and everybody's coming with me when I'm going class to class and sharing some chocolates or biscuits or whatever it is my parents have given me. And, I'm the center of attraction and everybody, is so happy and I'm so happy and everybody's listening to me and I'm playing all the games and I'm the main guy and tomorrow is somebody else's birthday. And that person now is the center of attraction. So what happens to me? So we've got to change some of these, milestones in life and say that, listen, yeah, let's celebrate the birthday. Yes, it's a birthday. But for God's sake, don't go overboard.
Right.
Because you want to show off. Because then you're going against them being a sthita prajna.
Absolutely. No, I love the way you brought in the birthday analogy, and it makes so much sense. It's so true. You can't really be the center of everybody's universe. Um, Now, another important teaching, in fact, I feel this is one of the core teachings of the Gita, is the Nishkama Karma, which is action without attachment. So, from your experience of interacting with, hundreds and thousands of people over the years, how do you think students can apply this particular aspect of action without attachment practically to everything in their life, which includes studies, exams, competition, and even failure? Most importantly, failure as well, without becoming indifferent or disengaged with what they do.
So the whole point is, earlier we talked about action, outcome, impact. Okay.
Mm.
Impact is something that you get attached to because everybody who doesn't want an impact, right? When we release this particular podcast, supposing you hit thousands of likes and people are going to say, hey, wow, this is great and stuff like that. Who doesn't like it? You like it, right? Nothing wrong with
Correct.
that.
Correct.
Everybody does it. So we do a lot of work with government schools. We must have trained more than 300,000 to 400,000 children in government schools. And we do this across some parts of Andhra Pradesh, Bangalore and its environs, some part of Karnataka. We do this in Tamil Nadu. We do this in Kerala. We do this across the country. There's a program called I'm a Winner.
Mm.
And I'm a Winner is a one-day program that is run in government schools for 9th and 10th standard schools. Okay? Government schools, corporate schools, corporation schools, aided schools, okay, where children of those schools don't have the flexibility to do this. And we run this through our entire Sahyogi volunteer network. So if any of you people want to join us, please do join us for this. What do we do? One of the things that we do in that whole program is we teach children public speaking.
Okay.
So we get them, through it's a whole day program, starts at about 8:30, gets over about 3:34. So the whole day is spent on, boosting their confidence, getting them to be more and more confident. So in the morning, they start off very shy. They start off very, not at all wanting to participate. And, no, I don't want to participate. Okay, you can imagine these are, kids of people, who goes to a government school? By and large, people who are daily wage laborers, they send them to government schools.
Mm-hmm.
So these kids come there and we boost their confidence. How do we boost their confidence? We teach them that, look, it is all right not to do well.
Right.
It is all right not to talk. It is all right to be tongue-tied. It is all right to have shaking knees. It's all right to, become nervous and, your hands are shivering. It is perfectly normal. That is the way that you start getting into stuff, okay? that we teach them that it is okay. Don't worry. This is not failure. By the end of the day, even the shyest student in a class of 30, 40, 50, Keerthana, comes there and speaks very confidently. My name is Keerthana. I want to be a doctor. This is what I want to do. And then they're breaking out into Kannada, and then they're going back into, whichever language is their mother tongue. And I keep telling them, speak in your mother tongue, for God's sake, don't speak in English. And then they do that. So the minute, the way out is to say, you will fall. You will falter.
Right.
This exam will not go well. This competition, you will not succeed. This game, you will not win. But it's perfectly all right. You put in your effort. And by the end of the day, Keerthana, they become, they flower. Because for the first time in their lives, they've gone there, talk with so much of confidence, saying, my name is Ram. I want to be an engineer, or, a doctor, or a policeman, or an army guy, or whatever it is. Where does this come from? This comes from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, Keerthana. If I'm not wrong, I think it's about 17, 18, or 19, somewhere there. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Where Krishna says, look, you perform your action without any attachment. Don't get attached to that impact. You go there and talk. You don't want to look at the audience, don't look at the audience. You want to look down and talk, go look down and talk. You want to look at the audience, look at the audience. You want to smile, smile. But perform that particular action of expressing yourself. You want to write it down and read it, go ahead, do it. Do it without any attachment.
Mm.
If we can remove that, then the pressure is gone. There's no pressure, right?
Correct.
Once there's no pressure, you falter, great, get up, do it again. Nothing wrong. Okay? So the whole idea is do that action without any attachment. Just perform it to the best of your ability. If you can teach these to the kids and add fun, just add fun to it. And kids are, doing very, very well on their own.
Absolutely. No, that's so profound. That's so profound. And I think this work that you're doing is brilliant. It's amazing. So, if you could offer one timeless Gita-based insight to students who are navigating, this fast-changing, high-pressure world, something that can anchor them internally, what would it be?
I think we discussed this a little earlier. Make yourself your friend. This is chapter 6, in which he discusses this in great length. Make yourself your friend. You be your best friend. Okay?
Correct.
Don't make yourself your enemy. Don't. Make yourself your friend. Love yourself. Make yourself your friend. Okay? Don't become vain. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying make yourself your friend. Be your best friend. So what will you do with your best friend? You'll spend time with your best friend. And your best friend is someone who will help you in life. Okay? And therefore, be your best friend, make yourself your friend. You are unique. Don't compare yourself with anybody in this world. Don't make that mistake. You are a unique creation. And, God threw away the mold when he made you. And therefore, you're gorgeous, you're talented, you're fantastic, you're wonderful, you're awesome. Be a friend of yourself. Okay? And if you are, work on yourself. Become a better version of yourself every day.
Right.
Don't be vain. Remember humility? That's the stuff legends are made of.
Correct.
a great cricketer, like a great footballer, like a great hockey player, like a great singer, like a great dancer, like anybody, like a doctor. They're every day trying to become better and better and better and better and better.
Correct.
Right? So just do that. You're gorgeous. You're amazing. Just do
Absolutely.
that and work on yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I must say, thank you so much for this very deeply grounding conversation. Um, in fact, in this entire conversation, one thing that has really stood out for me personally is that the Bhagavad Gita does not ask students to escape this world. Rather, it doesn't ask anyone to escape, but rather teaches them how to stand steadily within the cosmos that we are in. So, to everyone listening to this podcast, parents, students, educators, leaders, please remember that confusion that we all carry at different degrees is not a weakness, but that is the beginning point of where you start questioning the why. It's a point of inquiry. And when this inquiry is guided by wisdom, by discipline, by self awareness, that is when it starts becoming a moment of transformation. That is when you start spreading your wings. And whether it is India likely to become a $10 trillion economy, or the world itself growing into a better place where globally we are listening to the world moving into from a 3D consciousness to a 5D consciousness, where there's a lot of Schumann's resonance that is coming out. uh, it all comes down to the point where none of this is going to move to the next level if you're going to work under pressure. It has to come from a point of clarity, courage, and inner direction. And I think that's precisely how even Mr. Ramkumar Seshu's, team of Sahyogis are also doing. So, sir, thank you once again for joining us on Heal With Divinity. It's been a brilliant conversation, very eye-opening, even for me. But until our next conversation, where I'm sure we will come up with more interesting things to talk about, um, to all our listeners, please act with clarity, grow with awareness, stay aligned, and stay divine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Keerthana, for this opportunity. I thoroughly enjoyed your questions. They challenged me, and uh, trying to get those shlokas and those references was wonderful. Now that we finished, now I'm remembering so many other interesting, uh, nuggets from the Bhagavad Gita that we could share. But maybe that's for another day, another conversation.
Absolutely,
But my
absolutely.
request through you to all your viewers, to your listeners, is please get in touch. There is this movement that we're trying to create of, you know, Sahyogis who can go out and who can transform the way India thinks, the mindset of this country. I think we owe it to ourselves. If we can do that, that would be something which is very good. So if they can look me up on LinkedIn and send me a request, I'd love to have a conversation with them. And one last thought, there is this whole difference between pressure. If you remove the RR in between, and you insert an LEA in between, it becomes pleasure. So this is pressure, this is pleasure. If you can
Right, right.
just change that around, life will be so much happier for all of us.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Keerthana.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I
Wonderful
hope to
talking
see
to
you
you.
again in future podcasts with a lot of other
Absolutely.
conversations.
Absolutely. Love that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Keerthana.